tour, and I would have Manora medicine. My father made a record by my
her school.
Wendy parent.
It started out where her school.
Wendy parent.
Wendy Parent helped, but before that, she was in a program in the Blue Valley Schools called the Access Program, and the Access Program helped find jobs for their graduates. And Suzanne was lucky enough to have a lady named Mary Coyne in the cafeteria who was willing to take Suzanne and to train her. So really, Suzanne started out in the in the cafeteria.
Okay.
And by the way, I'm Patty Turner, her mom.
And I'm John Turner, her dad.
Well, it started out really well, actually. It started out well. And they gave Suzanne kind of menial jobs to begin with. She cleared off the tray line. And what else did you do, Suzanne?
Clean tables.
Cleaned the tables and and anything else? No?
I write down the card.
Wipe down the cards.
Yeah.
And then one of her people in the cafeteria realized that Suzanne could read. And they thought, well, now we have a better place for her, so they moved you to doing what?
To really pray to the pages.
So she started delivering trays to the patients, and you had to go
to the floor.
To the floors.
Yeah.
And then she had to figure out the room, and she had to figure out the bed that each tray went to. You had a partner. What was her name?
Brenda.
Brenda.
Yeah.
Helped her.
And she actually got Employee of the Month.
Wow.
And several patients wrote nice letters of appreciation for Suzanne, who was always smiling and happy. And then Menorah had some management changes, and they wanted people to work 12-hour shifts and rotate through jobs, and that just didn't work well for Suzanne and what she could do. So working with Menorah and also University of Kansas, Wendy Parent, specialist there, who worked with Menorah, and we identified that Suzanne could do sorting very well, and that medical records had a backlog of paper that needed to be sorted, pre-sorted to give to the file clerk so they could easily put them in. And so Suzanne moved to where?
Major.
Do you have a filing rack you use?
I have a filing rack.
Who made that? Do you remember?
I remember.
I think Wendy, the University of Kansas, helped design, and they then had a support team make the filing racks that she then puts papers in and goes through a series of processes then to reorder them.
Well, the first time it worked out really well because it was through the schools. And so the job came through Blue Valley North, and they have a job placement individual who looks for jobs. And she found this gal at Menorah willing to work with Suzanne. Now, a lot of places with job cuts and positions that have been taken away, it's harder and harder for people with special needs to get a job. But Mary Coyne was very glad to see if we couldn't make this work. So the thing for us that made it special was we found an individual who was willing to say, yes, she can. Yes, Suzanne can try. So that started out very well. Then when there was this job change, it was hard because now Suzanne's out of school and you don't have the resources that you normally have when you're in a school situation. So that's when we found out about Wendy Parent, and she was incredibly helpful to find Suzanne another job. I can't tell you how helpful she was. We appreciate appreciate her a lot. And then when Suzanne did change, she had had a job coach in the cafeteria, and so we were able to get Tish back again to be a job coach for Suzanne going into this new job. But I would say that it probably took
good 4 months.
Yeah, 3 to 4 months. Well, my advice would be, first of all, to find a person that you know and like that has an interest in you, and have them start looking. I know in high school there was a gal that was her job, to go out and talk to the community, visit businesses, and ask them if they would have a position that might be available. It seems like generally the restaurants are apt to hire. They have jobs like rolling silver and setting tables. That seems to be an industry that is receptive to people with special needs.
But it's really difficult to get into more sophisticated jobs, and Suzanne's a real success story because of that. And it takes a manager at Menorah who was willing to work with job development people to say, yes, we can make this happen, and make it a productive win-win situation for both Suzanne and the hospital. And a key point is you have to find that person or that mechanism to have the business engage, because a manager's first approach is, I want to treat all my employees the same. Well, when you have a person with special needs, that's very, very difficult to do. You just can't go to 12-hour shifts, you can't have them rotate through different jobs, and that type of thing. So it gets a very personal relationship that has to develop in order for something to happen. It's difficult, and it's a process that takes time and work and energy, and you cannot get, I guess, disgusted or let down. You just constantly have to be working it.
And Suzanne has a case manager through Johnson County Developmental Supports, and she tries to help too, to find a job coach or to hook Suzanne up with somebody that would be able to go out and do some interviewing. I know also that the Jewish Community Center has a program that has case managers that go out and talk to businesses and look for jobs also.
Well, what's really interesting with Suzanne and this job, you can tell from response she can be somewhat shy, and communications she works at, but we found that she's much more involved and much more open and talkative with this type of job, and involving her peers there and having lunch with them and going to the parties with them, and quite good. Now, are you always on time going to work?
Yeah.
And you work hard the whole time?
Yeah.
And you're friendly with everybody there?
Yeah.
Does that make you a good worker?
Yeah.
That's some pretty good advice.
And she does not want us to show up at the workplace. You know, it's her place, it's her job, and we say, oh, we're going to stop by for lunch. And, oh, no, that doesn't work at all. No, it's her friends, it's her place, and by golly, that's the way she wants it.
The best advice that I can think of is finding somebody that is interested in you, that can help you make contacts, and is willing to work with you, and has a special interest in you. And that's kind of how it worked for Suzanne, that she had a job coach that was really very dedicated to making the contacts and helping Suzanne succeed. And oftentimes the first job is through the school, so to me a person at the school would be your main source of contact.